I'm Dana K. White. I'm the author of Decluttering at the Speed of Life. And today I'm going to answer a question that I get, sometimes word for word, many times in some form on a regular basis. And that question is, should I be a minimalist? Not me, like somebody's asking me, should I be a minimalist? Or another version of that is minimalism the answer to my clutter problem? So I'm going to give you the short answer first, and some of you are going to be like, okay, I'm ready, I can click away. And some of you who are more like me, I'm going to give you the long answer after that. So here's the short answer. Should you be a minimalist? You should be a minimalist if it helps you to be a minimalist. If thinking about minimalism, if aiming toward minimalism, if learning about minimalism, if that is what inspires you to make real progress in your home, then yes, that's what you should do. If aiming for minimalism, if working toward minimalism helps you move forward, if it improves your home, makes you like your house more, helps you function better in your home, absolutely, that's what you should do, okay? If though you are like I was when I got started on this journey, and you're so overwhelmed that you think, okay, people talk about minimalism, that's probably what I should do, but the thought of minimalism is so far away from where you actually are right now that it just completely overwhelms you and keeps you from being able to do anything, because you think, how can I go from where I am right now with literally stuff everywhere all over the house to this beautiful, what I want, barely anything, nothing I don't need. It's the feeling that I get when I'm in an Airbnb. If the distance there causes you to just freeze and say, I can't even imagine how I will ever get there, but that is where I want to go, but it's so overwhelming to even think about it, I just can't do anything right now, then no, you need to take minimalism out of the equation. So here's the long answer, all right? I want to be clear as I'm talking, because some of you are going to, I'm confident you will give us all the things I get wrong about minimalism in the comments. Thank y'all for being here. I just want to be clear, I am not a minimalist. I don't call myself a minimalist. I don't study minimalism. I don't aim for minimalism. I am just a person who was so completely overwhelmed in my home 14 years ago now that I just started getting rid of stuff. I knew that my house was constantly a disaster, and so I just started decluttering. I thought I was giving up because I was so in such a bad place that I couldn't even imagine getting organized. I was like, I'm just gonna declutter. Y'all, just decluttering changed my house. And so I always teach that organizing and decluttering are not the same thing. And separating those two things helps you move forward, because all you have to do to declutter is get rid of something, anything, and then something else, and anything else. Just keep getting rid of stuff. And that freedom to just say, I'm just gonna get rid of things, and this idea of being organized is so far down the line, I'm not even gonna worry about it. The getting rid of things changed my house, changed my home, to the point where my house looked, felt, and functioned more organized before I ever actually did any organizing on it, okay? Same thing with minimalism. Minimalism and decluttering are not the same thing. Decluttering is required for minimalism. Like, you cannot be a minimalist, I'm pretty sure I'm right about that, without decluttering. But you can declutter without ever having the goal of being a minimalist, okay? Without working toward minimalism. But if you're ever gonna be a minimalist, you gotta declutter anyway. So separate those two things and know that for now, if I am overwhelmed and this idea of where I'm going is so overwhelming to me that it keeps me from getting started, just say, for now, I'm not gonna worry about that. I'm just gonna declutter. So many times, people think that they are the same thing, that if you're gonna declutter, the only reason you're doing that is to become a minimalist. I'm just decluttering to make my house easier for me to handle, okay? So minimalism, decluttering, totally related. not the same thing, and it's okay to just focus on the decluttering if the idea of minimalism, though attractive, overwhelms you, okay? Here's the other thing. A lot of people like me who struggle with clutter tend to have all or nothing personalities, okay? That's part of it. Part of what I have had to do in changing my mindset that has therefore changed my home has been to say, I'm going to just focus on progress. I'm just gonna focus on making my space better. I'm gonna throw away this idea of done and realize I will never even get close to being done if I don't get started. And to get started, I'm able to do that because I focus on a little bit of progress, a little bit better, a little more progress, a little more better, okay? So this all or nothing mentality is hard for people like me, okay? But this all or nothing mentality is part of what makes the idea of minimalism, before we even understand it, attractive. Like I look around, I'm like, oh my word, there's stuff everywhere. I can't do this. I'm tired of this. I'm just gonna get rid of everything, right? And then we say, this is it. Today's the day. I'm going to be a minimalist starting today, and I'm going to get rid of so much stuff. I don't need all this stuff. And we dive right in and we start pulling everything out, and we're like, oh, well, not this, not this, not this. Oh, wait, I can't get rid, oh. And then we get overwhelmed and we just can't move forward, okay? So that's why I say just start decluttering little bit by little bit. Follow my 5-step decluttering process. It's in my book, Decluttering at the Speed of Life. There are videos here where I have gone through the whole process. Just start decluttering. The first step is trash, meaning actual literal trash. You just get started. Ignore this idea of the all that you're thinking, I'm gonna change everything, and just get started, okay? But if you want to have a house that's under control and you think minimalism would be the way to do that, but that's too overwhelming, it stops me before I ever get started because I don't even have it in me to listen or read or learn about it. And I'm just like, what? You got to declutter anyway. So follow the process, follow the 5-step process. Here's the thing to use instead of minimalism, the container concept. I teach it all the time, literally. I talk about it in pretty much every single video, right? I have this video here, which hopefully I will remember to link, where I explain the container concept. And the container concept boiled down is this. The space I have is the space I have. If I try to fit more stuff into that space than can fit get-to-ably, usably, my house has no hope of ever staying under control, okay? So I declutter, I get rid of stuff until I only have what will fit in my space. Get-to-ably, usably, okay? So the container concept lets me take the emotions out of it, because here's the thing. If you have all this stuff that you've collected because you loved it, and now it's completely overwhelming, and you know something has to change, and you think, I've got to get rid of all this stuff, and then you start going through it and you think, but I loved this, or this one has this wonderful memory, then that can stop you in your tracks. Instead, you say, it's not me. I'm not making these hard decisions. I'm letting the space decide how much I can have, okay? So for an example, here is something that it is entirely possible I have written about before, or who knows, maybe I've done a video about it before and changed my mind at the last minute, but I think it's actually time this time, all right? This is a set of red dishes. These are highly sentimental to me. So many times over the years, I have hemmed and I have hawed and I have questioned and I have struggled and I have not decluttered them. And that's okay, because I've had space for them in my cabinet up there, okay? Up there was space for this, and so even in my new house, I was able to put it there because I had room for it. The container concept means I can keep anything, but I can't keep everything, all right? I don't have to analyze this set of dishes. Now, for those of you who are new and haven't been around when I've talked about these before, I was given these probably right around 25 years ago for a wedding shower. And someone wrote a beautiful little note with it and explained that in their family, they had their tradition that on someone's special day, they were given the red dishes. So they would use these dishes to celebrate any wonderful, great report card, an award, a kind word that was said to other children. Y'all, when they gave that to me, I was like, that's exactly the mom I'm gonna be. I am so gonna be the mom who puts out the red dishes, and my future children, who were gonna be perfectly well behaved and lovely and never smell bad, were going to get so excited when they came to the dinner table and saw that they had the red dishes. Do you know how many times I remembered to use those red dishes? At the most, once, maybe, before anybody was old enough to know what was going on. My oldest is 21. And I guarantee you none of the kids know what the red dishes are for. If I put them out, they'd be like, why are my dishes different? What? I never used it. And yet it was just something I held on to even when we moved to this house a year and a half ago, because it was this idea of this wonderful idea. It was a memory of getting it at my wedding shower. It was who I was supposed to be and what maybe someday I'll do. Maybe I'll do this with grandchildren someday, all of that. And instead, the other day I looked up there and I said, you know what? I'd like that space for something else. I'd like to be able to spread out some of my glassware to that third shelf up there. I think I'm gonna get rid of those. I'm ready to. It's not out of minimalism, because, correct me if I'm wrong, and I know that you will, there was no need for these, right? There was no need for an extra set of dishes that absolutely were never used in my home. Nobody ever even used these like when everything else was dirty back in the day, right? These were not needed. And in the time period where I thought that the way to declutter was to, determine the value and the use and does it have a purpose and all this kind of stuff, then I wasn't able to get rid of those. And there were many times years ago where I felt like, okay, I can't even do this. And this kind of thing, a decision about this, was the thing that stopped me from making any progress. But when the size of the shelf determines how much I can keep, and I'm like, oh, I've got room for these, I can skip over that. I don't have to worry about them anymore. So using my space well, being able to function in my space, that's my goal. So I get rid of anything that makes that harder to do. But getting rid of things to the point of, does it have any value or not? Again, I know y'all will correct me if I'm wrong about minimalism, okay? But the reality is that a lot of us who are too scared to even look into minimalism, that's how we think of it, okay? So if minimalism helps you, y'all, there are so many people, wonderful people, who talk about minimalism, and there are people in your stage of life with your situation who will be able to help you with that. But I want to give you hope. If you have thought before, oh my goodness, I need to be a minimalist, but I just can't, there's still hope for you. You don't have to do that. Just declutter. Get rid of the things that don't fit in your space. Get rid of your least favorite and let yourself keep something that has absolutely no purpose, because then someday, like me, you'll be ready to actually get rid of it. So I'm gonna go stick this in my donate box. I hope that was helpful. I feel like it was rambly, and it's hot because it's summer as I'm recording this, but whatever. Anyway, we'll talk to y'all later. Bye.